Hello everyone, welcome to the desert expert and the desert expeditioner of all of the world. I go on desert expeditions. As you may notice, I'm not quite out in the middle of the desert or middle of nowhere, because this is just the beginning of our expedition, which I feel would make a good opportunity to start things off with the basics of desert expeditions before we get too intense into it. Obviously, with the first step of expeditions, you need water. The next question then becomes is privacy when you need to return the water you borrowed from the land. You know, I mean, when it's time to answer the call, so to speak, of nature, and that's what I'm here. And you need a little privacy when doing that, because when you don't, because I much as I love my team here, we're not that close. I mean, but when looking for privacy in the desert, you know, when you're in the dunes, you find a hill. But when you're in an area that's not as many hills and is mostly flat, you generally have to rely on bushes, but there's certain kind of quality bushes you need to look for. Now, this bush I'm standing in front of right now is actually not the ideal bush. This one I kind of call a stick bush because it's mostly stick, not leaves, and so it's kind of transparent. I can show you what I mean. You kind of can notice that based on where we are, I'm basically there is no coverage of any of the essentials. So this is not a good bush. Before we get really going in the flow spots, I just want to make clear the little herbology or plant science stuff. Anyways, this bush is actually what's known as a creosote bush, and it's actually the most common bush in this particular desert. There's other kinds of bushes you could find, but as far as size and abundance and full amount of fields up of coverage, this is the kind of gold standard bush you're looking for. At least not this particular one. This one's actually not bad, but we'll get into exactly the reasons what kind of bushes you need to be looking for in a second. I just thought it'd be nice to know these kind of bushes are really quite nice. This bush, it's nice and thick. It's got a lot of leaf coverage in it in a decent proportion. I'm fairly confident. I mean, it's not ideal thickness, but it's decent enough for my... in regards to overall shielding of the view of onlookers. But the problem is it's short. You see, it's a short bush, extremely short. And the issue with that is you then have to squat. I'm not really a squatter. I know there's some things you got to squat for, but for the basic level of water release, it's a bit of an issue for it to be this short. Because if you're standing, there's not a lot of coverage. If you're squatting, there is, but I don't really want to squat, really. There's probably a few people squatting is fine, but with me, it's not fine. It's not really fine for basic level. Now we have found ourselves at a big old bush. As you see, it's got like a thick layer of sticks in the center, so it's not the most ideal, but it's also got a decent amount of leaf coverage as well. So this bush, I'm fairly confident, could shield most of your parts when you're doing your return the fluids motion. So I'd say that this bush is probably one of the better ones you could find. I do recommend a bush like this. Let me show you what I mean. As you can see me a little bit, but there's a decent amount of coverage and shielding. Next, we'll go on to the actual perfect bush to drop some fluids in. We have found the gold standard bush. Look at this thing. Look at it. It's got some sticks in there, but it's a nice thick layer of leaf shielding. Leaf privacy. Leaves that say, leave me alone, I'm paying. It's literally the absolute perfect bush. Well, it is a little on the short side, but most people in our expeditions, this is generally tall enough to do enough shielding and protection to block all of that. As you can see me still a little bit, but also at the same time, lower half, field of view almost perfectly blocked. My privacy in my private time has been achieved. The only downside is perhaps maybe they could still hear you, but I guess you could always just kind of let out a little yell while you're going so people don't hear the little trickle that happens. And on second thought, don't do the yell thing. We have someone on our team that does that, and it's kind of a little bit on the disturbing side. It's not something you really need to do, and all you need to remember is, so what if people can hear you? As long as they're not saying and their peeping eyes aren't freaking you out and stopping the stream. Or if you're taking a poo and their peeping eyes make it, and then you're not pooing for the next week. In the overall and desperate expedition, we're not living in civilization, we're living in the desert, and we're howling on an expedition in the desert, and overall, we don't have modern conveniences when we're out here in the desert, but we have bushes, we have privacy, and that's all you need in the end. Holy crap, why did you drink all the water, Jed?